Microsoft, Adobe, and pretty much every other software and technology company rapidly rushing to adopt AI like good little puppies, hoping that if they just make friends with this technology, they'll be okay. You know, I'm making my own tools now, my own software tools, thanks to AI. If I have an idea, I can build it. And that's only a couple years after it started to become mainstream and was introduced to the general public. What's it going to be like in 5 years? I spent a couple months building myself the beginning of a Photoshop app. And I called it Mandalabra, and I published it. If anybody wants to use it, mandalabra.com. And I'm just going to iterate on it and just keep building it until it basically does everything that Photoshop does for me. And then I won't even need to pay for a license. After that, my plan is to make myself an operating system. One that just does it just has the features I need. Nothing else. None of the bloatware. But these technology companies are leaning in. They're leaning in to artificial intelligence, I believe, in a bit of a short-sighted manner, not realizing that it fundamentally means the end of them. Unless they're able to coerce government to create another one of those scenarios where power for me but not for thee, where AI just becomes something that is allowed to destroy medium and small businesses, but is somehow not allowed to destroy big businesses. We'll see. But the cruelty with which this technology has been deployed into the world by simply giving itself permission to subsume the entire landscape of intellectual property that has ever been published, online at least, and just assume that it has free reign over all of that. And these big companies not batting an eye, instead leaning into it and be like, yes, this technology is going to empower us. I agree. The technology is quite empowering. It's quite empowering when at my fingertips I can hire an accountant, a lawyer. They're all robots. They're all synthetic. I can hire an artist. I can hire a programmer, but I don't have to pay them anything. That kind of power, I agree, is pretty intoxicating. But your end is near to Microsoft. Your end is near to Adobe. Now, am I right? I could be wrong. What is the scenario within which I could be wrong? Well, it's quite possible that as the tools for creating content infuse themselves with the AI capabilities, then a new kind of creative capital will emerge out of it. Something that is perhaps more surgical in nature, where we need simply people who can do just the finishing touch or just the finishing tweak in some way. But frankly, I don't see why that would even be necessary in due time, as the technology is pushed further year after year. So it's a very peculiar time to be living in, especially for someone like me who is in the creative field and technology as well. I'm in that cross section because I'm in the games industry, I'm in graphic design, I'm in media and entertainment, I'm in tool building, I'm in manufacturing, which of all the domains that I've involved myself in is probably the one that is at the moment safest. Everything else that I've dipped my toes in, financially, professionally, I'm not sure if there is much of a horizon for those fields. Manufacturing, bringing about physical, tangible products into the world, there is a horizon for that. There's a future for that. I can see it. There will always be. I mean, it's no surprise that as AI started to become ushered into the world, Bill Gates went off and bought ungodly amounts of farming land because he's not betting on technology as much as he's betting on the fact that, you know what, humans will always need food, and maybe that's where I should be investing my time. And of course, he's investing in pharma and vaccines, and because he knows that ginned up viruses are just going to be part of the future. That is just going to be part of the weaponry and the future form of terrorism. And so, being the software brain that he is, he just looks at human beings as if they were a piece of hardware, and you can just simply install antivirus software with updates inside of people's bodies, and that will be the right approach, which of course is toxic and terrible and evil. It's there are so many things coming to light about human nature, about the nature of our society, about the nature of our leaders especially. It's never been clearer that the emperor has no clothes, you know? And people are having to decide, should I wake up and deal with the absolute pain of that? Or should I just allow myself to ignore it, look down, focus on what I'm doing, and pretend like this stuff that's right in front of my face is not happening? There are so many elephants in the room, and it's frustrated me to see, really, 99.9% of the people that I interact with outside of my immediate family, actually no, including my immediate family, choose the latter. I'm going through the world seeing all these elephants just smashing over things that we build. And people are going off saying, what elephant? I don't know what elephant you're talking about. There's no elephant there. There's kind of one particular elephant that I find quite fascinating that is currently stomping its way through civilization. Is the elephant of morality, in particular Judeo-Christian ethic. And let's throw in Islam into that, because Islam is essentially a Christian offshoot religiously. It's coming to light that these principles are being rendered obsolete by our technocrats, and those in power. And this elephant that is trying to stomp away the legitimacy and need for morality, Judeo-Christian morality and principle, has given rise to a kind of resistance to that. And I would say an avatar of that resistance is the Jordan Petersons of the world, whom are trying to, through modern argumentation, establish still the legitimacy of those ideas in this modern hellscape, landscape that we are ushering in. And one of the things that's glaring right in front of us as we witness this culture war is how some of the most immoral people are currently involved in and showing the courage to defy evil. And I'm talking about people like Elon Musk and Donald Trump, showing courage and resilience against evil like we've never seen in recent history, at least. But yet they are not paragons of virtue, let's say. And then on the flip side, we have people that are on the surface apparently far more moral and virtuous, like the Obamas of the world, whom can start one family, be in one monogamous relationship for life, like the Clintons, and raise their children and put forth Judeo-Christian values and virtues, while all the while putting themselves in service of profound corruption and evil. What is this? There has never been so... It's almost like we created an ethic, and I think this dates back to the Roman Empire, that Judeo-Christian / Greco-Roman, because that is in there in a big way, that ethic, that polytheistic, the ideas of polytheism got infused into Judeo-Christianity, and that hybrid of ideas and social technology has led to modernity, in my opinion. And that system has within it so many flaws, so many paradoxes and dichotomies, that it has matured into this weird schizoid reality that we are now living through. Where paradoxes and contradictions are everywhere, where up is down and down is up. And fundamentally, what I've arrived to is that the system of ideas, as effective as it may be, is profoundly flawed and not truthful. It puts us in a fantastical and magical state of mind so that we can avoid the elephant in the room. We've been avoiding the elephant in the room, I don't know how long, since the beginning of recorded history. And that avoidance has led to all of these contradictions emerging. Where now right in front of us we are seeing profoundly immoral as defined by the Judeo-Christian Islamic ethic, because there's the question of what is moral, right? That's the topic for another video. But according to the Judeo-Christian ethic, we have profoundly immoral people who are the only thing standing between the freedom of and prosperity of humanity and evil, power-hungry warmongers that want to bring about anything but. And that's a fact. That all those people, like the Jordan Petersons of the world, I don't think are grappling with, frankly. I don't think they're addressing it. There's a really, really good video that Jordan Peterson just published, though, of him analyzing Donald Trump's personality type using all of his training in psychology. And as a former therapist, he rationalizes. It's fascinating to watch. He's rationalizing why he likes Donald Trump, despite, to a large extent, Donald Trump having lived a life that is not at all consistent with the life that Jordan Peterson preaches about living, or asking others to try to live according to. And how does he square that circle? I think that video is his attempt of doing that. I really don't think people understand Donald Trump. By the way, I'm going to vote for him. I mean, like, of course. But I don't think people really understand him. He's not a human like you and me. He's a force of nature. And there aren't many people like this in the world. Forces of nature are emergent phenomena embodied within a human frame that leads to incredible, great achievements that are beyond the average human capacity. And this happens because various forces are conspiring to bring about this entity to solve an imbalance that was inherent in the system. It was inevitable for these wind patterns to eventually create the eye and vortex of a hurricane, in other words. And people like this are rare, and it doesn't matter whether they're moral or immoral. They're simply a force of nature, something that had to happen in order to bring about a balance from the naturally imbalanced state that we were living in. And so you can kind of tell Trump lives in an out-of-body experience. He's not even in his own body. That's why he can go through what he has been going through, and why he often refers to himself in the third person. Says people love Trump. You know, he's in an out-of-body state. He's a force of nature. And none of our philosophical, religious, moral underpinnings that stem from our past help us understand these phenomena. And instead, we find ourselves trying to understand them or rationalize them using old philosophical frameworks, but that's just going to send you in a spiraling circle of rationalization and justification. But I think it would be better if we simply address the elephants in the room and move forward in a healthier way without creating all of these imbalances. Anyway, wild, esoteric video. Let me know what you think.